Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flaws, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club.
I'm gonna say this right here, baby, because some of y'all be acting like y'all don't be seeing it. But, baby, playing victim in a situation that you created, oh, yeah, baby, that's narcissistic as hell to me. Hello, somebody, how you gonna create the storm, then get mad when it rain? How you hurt somebody and then get mad that they hurt? How you damage somebody, go outside your way to destroy a person and then get mad when they no longer want to deal with you? Baby, playing a victim in a situation that you created, oh, baby, that's narcissistic as hell to me. I'm sorry, but it is.
Hi, Bullhorn Betty. Thank you for my shirt. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Kids Club.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Is going on, my beautiful people of YouTube? I didn't realize I didn't have any lights on. I got the above you guys can see me. It's nice to see you all here this morning. I hope everybody had a wonderful and amazing weekend. And I just want to make sure that I've adjusted my volume just a little bit this morning. I want to make sure that everybody can hear me well. It's nice to see everybody this morning. That little girl is so very precious. Absolutely. And if you guys don't know, we have a whole line of Kids Club gear for those that want to support, the children that want to support the great work we're doing here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. You get with Sonia if you have a grandchild or a kid and you want to support the Bullhorn Betty channel. What cute little shirts they have. I have to say, Sonia really hit it out of the park with this Kids Club shirt. So get with Sonia and see if the Kids Club is right for you. Right? It's support, and she is a lovely person and does great job for the Bullhorn Betty channel. Many of you know she always does cute little stuff for Bullhorn Betty, such as this preventative measure of giving me astronomical fees for my cuss jar. It does help. It does help. I can promise you the GD word's probably not going to come out of my mouth for $15. But depending on the situation, the F-bomb might come out for 10. Okay? So hold your horses. Okay? $10 is still not so outrageous that Bullhorn Betty won't tell you about yourself. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Gotta live up to the hype, right? Gotta live up to the hype. TD Dean, nice to see you. The real me too. Good morning. I thought I missed somebody. Yeah, there it is. Love is better than hating, as always. We love. The hate is for the dumpsters, and they can have the hate. Skittles, True Crime. God bless you. MJ is in the house. TL, I smell like a rose. So do I this morning. Well, I smell like vanilla coffee. I won't lie. I'm in the infamous cup, right? The Monday morning cup, right? The Monday morning cup. God help me. God help me. Joyce, it's nice to have you over here. Gail, it's nice to have you as well. Stacy. Who else do we have? Mike Stevens in the house, our resident defense expert. Nobody's guilty. I got a poke. It's too easy. You make it too easy. JJ in the house. Angel, it's nice to have you. Katrina, good morning. And I think TLC is me. Oh, TLC, it's nice to see you here, love bug. I hope everything is going well with you. Guys, I don't know if you noticed, but I remember it's me, Angela D. She was like the right-hand man of Dolly Vision back in the day, helped keep just Dolly organized, right? He was just a hot mess. He had paper. He was writing down everything on a piece of paper. And God bless Angela D. Or it's me, Angela D. And she kept them organized. I don't know how she did it, but she did. She did. And she ended up, one day we were just, horsing around or whatnot. And everybody was in the group and we were like, where's Angela? Where's Angela? Not really thinking. Naughty Rudolph, good morning. Shannon, good morning. And I did get your email. Thank you. I did send some cold cases over to a couple of my friends to see if it was something right here in Florida that we'd like to, go through. But I appreciate it. But I did get your email. Kay in Maine, Regina, it's nice to have you guys as well. Turkey Man is in the house. I don't know how to do your Turkey Man. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Gobble, gobble, gobble. There you go. Hindsight 2020. Anybody else that I accidentally overlooked this wonderful morning? Just a big, good blanket. Good morning. The sound is a little low. How's that? Is that better? How's the sound? I got to try to mark it for the perfect sound and going in and out. I don't know what the heck is going on with this going in and out. It's still going in and out. It's choppy. Okay, so give me just a second. I'm going to turn this off and power it back on. Maybe that'll help. All right. Can we hear me now? Can we now? Of course you couldn't hear me. I reset my sound card. So are we doing okay now? Is it going in and out? You know what? Actually, let me. There is one setting that always seems to make things echo cancellation. Okay, I turned off all the audio filters on StreamYard. Let's see. How does that sound? Better? In and out, in and out. Angela has been on my mind a lot lately. Yeah, guidance. So hopefully the sound has now resolved itself. You guys can hear me. No. It's still really low. Okay. How about that? Is that higher enough for you guys now? Hopefully it's like I don't want to blow your ears out. Good morning, Dumplin. God bless you. Thank you for the 6-month membership. If all else fails, I'll just go back. I'll take this off. There might be some. It's the speaker on your earbuds. Really, really low. So we got really. That's the bass. I shouldn't have to turn that up. Now that's like all the way up. I don't think we need it that high. It might be blowing some up the volume. Okay. Blow out our ears. I think it's the earbuds. No, it's not the earbuds. This is just so I can hear the. That's better. Okay, that sounds perfect. Okay, so all the people, hopefully, yep, it's the earbuds. I think. Hopefully, all the people now can hear me. That's good. Okay, so wow, that needs to be almost on max. So, anyways, Dumplin, it's nice to see you here. It's nice to see you here. God bless you. And I'm sorry for you being drugged into a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know what's going on, but I just wanted to make sure you knew that we love you and we support you always. So go back up volume. Well, this is about the max volume that I'm going to be able to have. So it is being I do have plugs to plug it directly into the computer, but it is actually being ran through Bluetooth. So if there's any kind of wave that disrupts that Bluetooth frequency, then maybe that is what that's what does it. But either way, we're back in business. We're back in business. Hopefully, I'm not blowing your ears out. Sounds very low. Well, turn the volume up. This is about as loud as I'm going to be able to get today. So I do apologize about that. Let's see, because this is all the way up. So I can only do so much with the volume. Oh, I appreciate that. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Love Bug. So just many of you know I really don't ever show receipts for anything. When I purchase something, I let you guys know I purchased it. If you want to contribute, you can contribute. I was hoping to get at least 500 prints over to Layla Santanello's family. I was not able to do that. I was only able to do about 250 of it or 250 flyers because out there, it's an arm and a leg for flyers. It really is. Like I can order stuff online and have it shipped directly here in less than 7 days, but it only cost me $10 to $14 a sheet. So these sheets were 55 cents, but it was really weird because you would expect, I think it came up to like $137.50 total. Then you have tax over it. So I was expecting something similar to here, maybe having $7, $8 in tax. Well, it wasn't. It was like 13 or 14, maybe even 15. What was it? $13.05 in tax, and they charged me 17 cents miscellaneous. Anyways, it came up to right about $150.38 for the flyers for Layla Santanello. Just a FYI of what we spent. If you guys would like to contribute for those, that is the total. That was. Let me see if I can go ahead and share this page. Hold on. And so, if you guys can see the receipts on that, there you go. No, it's not really that big. So there is the total for that, $150.38 for everything out the door. But we were able to get those over to her. I mean, I wish I would have been able to do a full box of 250, but it was almost $400, $355. That didn't include the tax to get a box over there. That was just too much. I just couldn't do that. So we were able to get 250 flyers over to them. We were also able, I'm also going to be printing up some more flyers here from home. That's why I got the big printer to begin with, is because that is usually what I do. But I just didn't have time because it had already, so much time, significant time has already lapsed, and they really need to start getting those flyers up. I didn't have time to print them out here and then mail them to them. I was able to design the flyer. I was able to get it approved, and I was able to send it off to a local, office supply store to have it printed, and within a few hours they were in their hands. So it was nice. Don't they have TBI? I couldn't find any TBI flyers, and the flyers that that were made for them, I think a friend may have done it, just didn't have Layla's face really. You couldn't really see the profile of her face very well. The print was really small, and so we needed something that just stood out a little bit more and provided her a good photo of her face and her. I got one from kind of a side angle as well as kind of her front face, and she's got a very unique smile and appearance. So she's got the blonde hair with the dark roots. She's 4'10", 115 pounds. And so we're just doing whatever we can on our end to help this family. That's really it. The news, every time I go on here, it's like, 5, 6, 7 days and no news, no local news covering this case. And that really, how I feel about that. It's like, you have local news organizations there. What's the purpose of having local news organizations in your community? Oh, thank you, Regina. I appreciate it. Every penny helps. Thank you. God bless you. What's the purpose of having local media stations in a particular community if you're not even going to advocate for your own residents? I mean, I'm sorry. If you ask me, I don't believe that there's hundreds of thousands of missing, people in Kingsport, Tennessee. Maybe I'm wrong. But you would think that the news would be all over this, covering this case, because it's one of their community members. And it really, really irks me that somebody from the state of Florida has to be screaming bloody murder because you won't even run the damn segment. And it's very, very frustrating. And I see why this family is struggling to get this case known. Now, granted, it's more known now than it was a week ago. Let's say that, it was not getting any social media attention. We only had like 1 or 2 people that ran with it. No large platforms were even covering this case of this 21-year-old girl that's missing out in Kingsport, Tennessee. And it was very, very frustrating. So not to go through too much with you with this just yet, because I'm going to kind of dovetail. I want to get to our language of letting go. And then we're going to talk just a little bit about a weird story I read about Alex Murdaugh. And then we're going to dive into Layla Santanello just for a little bit and then move directly over. We have one little small update on Brian Kohberger, and then we're going to move over to Rex Heuermann and discuss that. So on August 14th, this is from the language of letting go. Before we get, did I just see my pal Sal? Well, good morning there, love. Long time no see. Long time no see. Good morning. Good morning. Ashley, it's nice to see you. ZA, Unicorn, good morning, y'all. Pebbles, good morning. So August 14th on the language of letting go, it says, be grateful for where you are at now. It doesn't take as much faith to believe that everything happens for a reason as it does to embrace the belief that I am who and where I am now, today, for a reason. If I don't know what that reason is, even if I don't particularly like who or where I am today, a friend said to me, when I can take that in, my dissatisfaction and negativity disappear, and I can proceed calmly, gratefully with my life. To me, he said, that's what spirituality is all about. faith, and hope aren't just for the future. Try using them for today. Could it be that you're who you are and where you are for a reason? Thank God for my life exactly as it is right now. God give me enough faith to believe in today. What? I have to struggle? I have to be where I am today? What? No way. Yes. Yes. Because we don't know what our path is just yet. But we can be thankful for where we're at and what we have today. I think a lot of people look at everybody else's life and say, why can't I have that? Well, this is the problem that many people have, even with the rich, famous people. Let me give you a story. This is a story. It's a true story about Beyonce. And this was years ago. Her and Jay-Z were having a lot of problems. Jay-Z's out with all those hoes, right? And Beyonce's sitting at home. She ends up getting intoxicated and going to this party with her friends for her, and she completely loses it. And then you see her at this basketball game like a few days later, and she's just no expression, no happiness. She looks like she's under some kind of medication on the basketball court, front and center, no smiles, just sitting there. And I look at her and think, this is a woman and her husband, they make billions of dollars a year. This is a woman that literally has what everybody only wished and hoped for. But at the end of the day, with all that money, all those cars, that lifestyle, I saw a very unhappy woman. I saw a very sad woman. I saw a trapped woman. So I look upon a lot of people and look at their life and say, you know, on the outskirts, the exterior, yeah, it looks normal. It looks happy. It looks vibrant. It looks like they've made it. But who gives a damn on what's on the exterior, what facade you can put to the world? Are you really successful inside? To me, I don't think she feels that way. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. I don't know. I'm not in her brain. All I can tell you is that when I saw her on that basketball court with those probably $10,000 tickets, right? I didn't see a happy woman. For the first time, I didn't see a successful woman. For the first time, I saw this amazing, talented woman as sad, unhappy. None of those accolades meant a damn to her personally. I may not have this glitz of glamorous lifestyle, but I try to find happiness. I try to find peace. I'm happy that I don't have a whole lot, right? I'm thankful that I have my home. I'm thankful I have my vehicle. I'm thankful I'm able to make ends meet, and I'm thankful I'm able to give back to the world. But for me, outside of, for the most part, I'm happy. I feel successful. I feel that I have a lot of what people wish that they could have. Is it financial success? No, it's not. But it's success. And at the end of the day, I feel like I'm doing the right thing. I feel like I'm on the right side of the arguments. And I feel like I come from a place of love. And so that's really all that's expected from me. So today, throughout, the day, as we look at other people and wonder and wish whether we have their life, understand that we need to be grateful and thankful for the life that we have, that we're living. Because that is special. And I don't want you looking over there and not seeing the greatness you have over here. So God bless you on this wonderful, wonderful Monday. So getting on to Alex Murdaugh. I like this I was going to talk about last week. And it just, so many things were going on. Stuff was going on. And I was going to do a video about this and never got around to it. So I figured before we get too far into this meeting or this segment. So this was really weird. Apparently Alex Murdaugh had this bizarre type of birthday party for his dead son, Paul. And it says Alex Murdaugh threw his dead son, Paul, a twisted birthday party from prison and forced survivor Buster to place flowers on his wife's grave for him. As new book reveals, Link's legal Skyen went to conceal his guilt. And it just goes on to talk about this weird and bizarre jailhouse video of Paul's birthday, and it was just odd. It was just odd. Now, many of you know that he has a co-conspirator, the guy from the bank, Palmetto State Bank. He has been convicted. I think he's now going to be serving 8 years in prison for his part in that whole scheme to defraud. Give me just a second. So here is another article that we've gone over related to Layla Santanello's case. And many of you know that I do a lot of sleuthing. I don't just do this whole YouTube stuff. I really dig into these cases, and I really try to make heads or tails of them, especially when there's lacking information. And I wanted you guys to see this photo here of, will it show me it? Hold on, there it is. You see that house right there? Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit bigger. Sorry, guys. There we go. That house right there. This was that house that was done, that had the raid. And they were going through the home. They executed a search warrant. They were in the backyard. I came out and said that this really looks like it's associated. And it seemed to be linked to Layla Santanello's case. And of course, you know, we have the one creator that likes to, you know, complain and say how irresponsible it is of me to make those leaps. I can make any leap I want to, especially when I'm doing the work to make the leap. Now, if you want to use Google for news, this probably isn't your channel, but for me, I do a lot of legwork. So I was able to come out early on the, and I think it was August 7th. I said that this house was raided on August 4th, and that it appears to be linked to Layla Santanello, and I gave you the reasoning behind it, because Layla Santanello's case was just now starting to heat up. I'm smelling like a rose. We're going to get to it. We're going to get to it in just a second. So we were told that, you know, she had been missing since June 26th, and then we read a report that it was June 27th. Come to find out, she was seen on June 27th at a creamery called the Marble Slab, and it's an ice cream shop, and it's off Eastman in Kingsport, Tennessee. That was the last place that she was seen, and she was seen in the white tank top, the black leggings. She was not wearing shoes, and the people at the creamery gave her, you know, nourishment. So it sounds like they must have given her something to eat and maybe some water or something like that just to help her out. She was probably very much dehydrated because she slept behind the hotel, the AmeriCorps Hotel, that night. Oh, thank you, ZA. God bless you. Well, this case started heating up around August 1st when Kingsport Police Department started getting TBI involved and reached out to them for a resource. So on August 1st, TBI got involved, and then Layla Santanello's case went to an endangered missing person alert. An endangered missing person alert. Hey, Huntress, it's nice to see you. Good morning, Robin. Nice to see you as well. Allie, good morning. So, long story short, she was seen on the 27th, but from the June 27th to August 1st, what happened to her? Nobody has heard from her since that 27th marker. Her friends haven't heard from her, no social media posts, which she really wasn't really into social media anyways, but she did post here and there, you know, a few times a month. All of that has stopped. She has completely just vanished, poof, out of thin air. Well, on August 4th, this home that you see in front of me, or next to me, the one on your screen, was raided and a search. And so I came out and said that based upon TBI being involved with Kingsport, this being in Kingsport, TBI is on location. There's no other major case going on in Kingsport, Tennessee, that would require this kind of raid or anything. And we knew that this wasn't a drug raid because different types of searches do different types of things. So you expect, if it's a drug search, they're searching the walls, they're searching under beds and stuff like that in there. Now, granted, they do that for other types of investigations, but what made me know that this wasn't your normal drug search was the fact that they were in the backyard. That was something that was being reported to us from news, that law enforcement was searching the backyard. That gave me concern. Well, there was nobody really linking this other than common sense and following this case and realizing that this couldn't be involved with any other case but her case. Then so now I knew that this house was involved in Layla Santanello's case, even though law enforcement and the news out there is failing to link these cases together. So during my research, I did, through sleuthing, and again, here is that house again. This is an older version of that house or something like that, but there is that house. And this house here is linked to one of Layla Santanello's friends. So this is really starting to, heat up a little bit. We know that she was at the creamery. We know she was at the Marble Slab Creamery. There was a Marble Slab Creamery 5 Below and the hotel, kind of all in the same general vicinity. But this Dale Street is way over here. It's like 8 or so minutes away. If she were to try to walk this from the hotel, it would take her about an hour and 15 minutes to get over to Dale Street if she chose to walk that on foot. If she chose to drive, it would only be an 8-minute drive to that location. So is it possible? I mean, we do know that she was desperate at the time. She had slept behind the hotel room. She was not wearing any shoes, so her feet were probably hurting. She was obviously needed some nourishment that was given to her by the creamery, the ice cream shop. And so, maybe she was desperate enough to say, hey, I just need to power up my phone, or I need to charge, or, I need to make a phone call. Can I call so-and-so? Maybe they let her use the phone there at the Marble Slab Creamery. Did she call somebody, and did somebody pick her up before she disappeared, i.e. them being the last person that actually saw her alive as opposed to this creamery? But right now, where the lead stops is the creamery. And so that's one of the reasons. So we're not going to really go over a lot. There is a new website that has been started by her mother, Jennifer, and that is this one right here, Help Find Layla Santanello. It is my understanding that Hope for Layla is by her father and stepmother. Obviously, her biological mom, Jennifer, is the one taking care of her daughter, Nova. So obviously our channel is not saying that her father and her stepmother are not important or anything like that. I don't even want to know what they're going through. It has nothing to do with that. It's the fact that Jennifer is taking care of Layla's daughter, and therefore the support of this channel is going to be wherever that child is. So if that child was with Layla's father and stepmother, our support would be with Layla's father and stepmother to help that child. In this case, Jennifer is the one that is taking care of her 2-year-old daughter, her granddaughter, and Layla's 3 other brothers and sisters. So she's got 4 kids in this house that she's raising, one a toddler, a missing daughter, and very limited help in Kingsport, Tennessee. So that's where our focus will be. It is to help the family that is saddled with the most expense. And right now, the person that's saddled with the most expense is Jennifer Santanello, Layla's mom. So that is where we are going with this case. So I just wanted to show you that the house that was raided was connected. Maybe this will help spark some people. Again, I know who was at that home, what person I looked up to to connect that home. I'm not going to go here and do or say anything about this person just yet. I am going to be going on a road trip here in the next week. Okay, so I'm right now in the process of planning out a trip. I will be I'm thinking that I will be heading out for this particular case. Let me get my calendar up. Before or after, I never give quite the dates that I'm leaving for the obvious reasons, but it looks like maybe the August 21st week. I will be poking my head in and around the Kingsport, Tennessee area. And that is where we're going to be going. I'm going to be bringing extra flyers with me to help post. Maybe by then we'll have a little bit more information that we can help with. But the focus of this particular trip is fact finding and helping the family get as many flyers up and around the community as possible. So yes, we will be actively working out there instead of just research and investigating. We will be posting flyers. We are going to be knocking doors. We're going to be making sure people know this young lady's face and her name and that she's missing. We're going to be hoping that this will help start getting the phones ringing for Kingsport Police Department and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations to help elicit some leads to come in. We're also opening ourselves up to, for the people that are may have warrants out for their arrest, for, drug charges, for whatever the reason may be. They may have information that they're withholding because they don't want to have contact with law enforcement. We will be in the area to get that information. You're more than welcome to send it to us anonymously. You can send it to the Bullhorn Betty channel at gmail.com. Anything that we can do to get some leads and some information, legitimate leads and legitimate information over to the Kingsport Police Department and TBI, we're definitely going to do that. Right now, the best help that we could do was just getting some flyers out there to start getting posted while we are getting things together to head out there and do some good work. I have no idea, Robin, but just delete them. This is a drama-free channel. We don't get into all the stuff. If that's what you guys, that's your mojo, this is definitely not the channel for you. We're pretty boring over here. What we do is we like to talk about cases. We like to help families, and we like to advocate for victims, whatever that may be. And for those that don't know, I'm willing to do anything under the law to provide answers for these cases and bring attention to these cases by a multitude of means. And you guys have seen those displayed over the last couple years. I also wanted to let you know that they are having a fundraiser to help the family, Jennifer and Nova, and they're selling these shirts. 100% of the proceeds will be going to the family. We want answers. They have Layla's photo on here, last seen 6/27/2023, her date of birth 8/5/2022. Again, I'm going to drop that link for this page if you guys would like to, have a shirt in support of Layla Santanello. It's the proceeds. The person that's doing these shirts said 100% of the profit, 100% will be going directly to the family. So anything we can do to help. All right, guys. So that is. Here's the post for the shirts right here. So there is a person that's doing the shirts for her, and the shirts are $20. 100% of the proceeds will be donated to widening the search for Layla Thompson, Layla Marie. We thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. And again, here is the way that you can get them. It is on her. It is on her page, her Facebook page. But if you guys would like to help, there's the link to do so. And again, that is directly from the mother. So thank you guys for giving me your ears so we could learn about Layla Santanello. Now we're going to dovetail on over to the Brian Kohberger case. This is just a small update. As many of you know, I'm sure watching this, we did hear, and I was wondering why, because when the amended notice of hearing came back, I think it was a week or two ago, they put 3 motions on the hearing. And one of them was the challenging of the indictment. And I'm thinking to myself, I wonder why that's on here, because what's the purpose of the stay if you're going to be heard on the challenge of the indictment? And so this new updated, the second revised, right? The second revised notice of hearing has now removed the argument for the motion to, to set aside the grand jury for the, the jury process and instructions. It's a weak argument. But like I said, she's really trying to get the stay. So it really was not doing her justice for that indictment to stay on here. So they've actually worked it out. So they're going to be covering the third motion to compel and the second motion to stay, because like I said, her victory is in that stay, not in challenging the grand jury. If she can get this motion to stay, a full stay this time, as opposed to the partial stay that only stopped the speedy trial clock, then this is a major win in the right direction for buying the defense team time to keep working on Brian Kohberger's case. There's a massive amount of evidence. That is something that you do not want to rush. You want to take your time and thoroughly go through it. The problem in this case is they have the bad part of trying to recreate facts after the fact, as opposed to keeping up with them. That's the benefit that the state attorney has, is during this investigations, he's able to see all this stuff coming in as it's coming in and make notes and organize it and stuff like that. Whereas the defense does not. They're just getting started, usually by the time the arrest warrant is executed and the person is now put in handcuffs. Now the investigation is far enough into the process where they've been able to identify the person of interest and arrest that person. So you're talking about a massive undertaking, massive amount of paperwork. And they're wanting to make sure that they have everything they can defend, because, look, they just put Brian Kohberger in his car. That removes anybody else from being in that car. So there's nobody else with him. They're saying he was alone. He has a habit of driving alone at night. So that's where that is. And I don't know how many of you had an opportunity to read my article or not, but let me see if I can open it. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read my article to you. Let me see if I can find it. It's on my iCloud Places. Brian Kohberger. Let's do the PDF. All right, here's the PDF. And I'm going to take you guys off my shared screen and put you on a different type of shared screen. It's just what I've got to do when I'm changing from webs to a doc. There we go. So here's an article that I wrote yesterday on the 13th. Many of you wanted to know what I was doing. I was writing most of the day yesterday. I did. I gave you an A+. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I sat down, and because we had already been talking about this. This was a conversation and a topic that I was definitely familiar with and had a lot of knowledge, on it. So I wanted to make sure that we were able to, let me just break that down just a little bit more. There we go. And so I'm going to read this article to you, and then we'll get over to Rex Heuermann. It says, is the law on Brian Kohberger and his defense team's side? Those are the questions swirling around the Layla County Prosecutor's Office as they prepare to challenge turning over anything related to the investigative genetic genealogy testing, the family tree, or the many people that turned up in the hits of a familial matches on third-party genetic genealogy websites. On November 13th, a call came into the Moscow Police Department around 11:58 a.m. just before noon. This was a call that the community, law enforcement, and the public were not ready for. A seemingly insignificant call of an unresponsive person became one of the biggest homicide stories in a decade. 4 university students were found murdered to death while they slept in their off-campus housing on the outskirts of the University of Idaho. It was unknown to the public how the 4 died, but the news was traveling fast on the University of Idaho campus and identified the victims before law enforcement could notify the next of kin or news station to disclose the victims. We learned through social media that the victims were best friends Madison Mogen and Kaylee Gonzalez, both 21, and boyfriend-girlfriend Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin, both 20. A store owner came forward early in the investigation and let the news media outlets know that law enforcement had been to their establishment asking if anyone had recently purchased a K-bar knife. It became clear that law enforcement had some lead that led them to the establishment, but what? Did they believe the victims were stabbed? The autopsy had not yet been scheduled, so why were officers looking for a K-bar knife? Although the public knew this meant something, that something was not evident. Around the same time, the public learned of this store owner's encounter with law enforcement. An account that frequents social media about the case started chiming into the conversation. Papa Rogers started implying law enforcement must have found a knife sheath. This was the first time the public learned of the possibility of evidence being left at the crime scene. Later, the public learned there was a knife sheath left behind. Law enforcement found a single strand of touch DNA on the knife sheath and was found in one victim, Maddie Mogen's bedroom. We learned the knife sheath had been between Maddie's leg and her comforter. This is where the second victim, Kaylee Gonzalez, was also found. Fast forward a bit. Many leads directed law enforcement to look at Brian Kohberger, including a Washington State University officer calling in his vehicle information in the early morning hours of November 29, 2022, as matching the possible vehicle of interest at the time. There was something else. There were other investigative tools deployed by law enforcement that most were unaware of at the time. We will be discussing this and the reason for the third motion to compel further down in the article. According to the probable cause affidavit authored by Corporal Brett Payne of the Moscow Police Department, we learned around December 27, 2022, Pennsylvania agents recovered the trash from Kohberger's family residence that was sent to the Idaho State Lab for testing. The affidavit further stated on December 28, 2022, the Idaho State Lab reported the DNA file obtained from the trash and the DNA profile from the sheath identified a male as not being excluded as the biological father of the suspect profile. At least 99.9998% of the male population would be expected to be excluded from the possibility of being the suspect's biological father. This gave law enforcement the evidence they needed to execute a search warrant, which was signed by Layla County Magistrate Judge Megan Marshall on December 29, 2022 at 2:22 p.m. Brian Kohberger was subsequently arrested by early morning raid on December 30th, 2022 at his parents' Albrightsville home in Pennsylvania, and was extradited back to Idaho on January 3rd, 2023. It seems pretty straightforward, right? Well, here's the issue. There were so many other things that went on behind the scenes to help aid law enforcement in identifying who killed the students and where that person was. We've since learned that the investigative genetic genealogy was used in this case. The FBI took the DNA and had it converted to upload the profile in an unknown genetic genealogy database or databases, similar to Ancestry DNA or 23andMe, to locate any family member associated with the unknown suspect's DNA left on the knife sheath in Maddie's room. The issue with the investigative genetic genealogy testing conducted in this case is that its origin, methods, and results were never disclosed to the defense. It was not provided or attested to by Corporal Brett Payne in his affidavit of probable cause, mentioned anywhere, or produced during discovery requests. This forced the Layla County Prosecutor's Office to file the notice of Brady disclosure and request for protective order on March 27, 2023. On March 28, 2023, the fight was on to keep this new emerging investigative tool out of the courts and away from the defense team. The state files a motion for protective order alleging they won't use this against Brian Kohberger and therefore is not entitled to the information, among other defenses the state raised for failing to produce the discovery. According to the state's motion for protective order, the state also wanted to protect the many people produced in the genetic genealogy search from disclosure. Lastly, and most importantly, the FBI did the search and the investigators only received a lead and not the work or the disclosure of the FBI's investigative techniques or how the family tree was conducted and the results produced, further alleging the United States Department of Justice has strict guidelines that require the FBI to destroy any work immediately upon completion of the work assignments, results produced, and lead provided to the law agency it's assisting, which is the basis of Kohberger and his defense team's third motion to compel. Becca Barlow was hired by Brian Kohberger as an expert witness for the third motion to compel. She is an attorney that lives in California and has a great understanding of DNA and how it is used in capital cases. The difference between short tandem repeat, known as STR, and the single nucleotide polymorphism, known as SNP, DNA profiles. She also indicated she was interviewing experts in the genetic genealogy testing area specifically for this case. According to Becca Barlow's affidavit in support of defendant's third motion to compel, Becca alleges there is abuse of law enforcement related to their investigative work on these genetic genealogy websites / databases, lack of oversight, and failure to adhere to genetic genealogy database guidelines and terms of service. She further alleges that law enforcement conducts these searches without the consents of the participants in many cases. Stephen Mercer is an attorney from Maryland who taught classes, written bills, and helped craft laws around the law and the legal processes. He was also hired by the defense team as an expert for the third motion to compel. In Stephen Mercer's affidavit in support of defendant's third motion to compel, he alleges and explains turning over the investigative genetic genealogy information is a matter of law, whether or not it's used at trial. He further alleges that the state and/or FBI would have some documents they used, printed, or stored that could be turned over even if the main profile has been deleted or destroyed. Most recently, a new expert has emerged on the Kohberger's defense team. Leah Larkin is a genetic genealogist practicing in the field since 2014. She is the newest expert hired by Kohberger's defense team for the third motion to compel. Her affidavit alleges that the testing used in the investigative genetic genealogy results are flawed. She alleges the methods are flawed, the results are flawed, and there are too many variables such as degraded samples commonly associated with homicide investigations / cases and other issues where family members marry within their own family type of situations that may arise. Since Becca Barlow attested in her affidavit that she was actively interviewing experts in the field of genetic genealogy specifically for this case, it is believed that Becca referred Leah to the Kohberger defense team upon review of her extensive expertise in this field. As the state gears up for the hearing on August 18, 2023 regarding the defendant's third motion to compel, the state files its reply in support of the motion for protective order on July 14, 2023, reiterating some of the same reasonings as stated in its original motion for protective order filed back in March 2023. But the state also filed an affidavit, Raylan L. Nolan, who is a laboratory manager of the Idaho State Police Forensic Services. She testifies that the state lab only uses STR DNA sampling and not SNP DNS. But DNR sampling. The STR and SNP data cannot be directly compared and points the court and defense to the website where the lab's protocols are located and available for their review. What else does it say? Where's the rest of it? Oh, there it is, for their review. So is the law on Brian Kohberger and his defense team's side? It appears it may be. The state would require to disclose the information and discovery to the defense in any other practical matter, but since the FBI did the work and destroyed the work, only providing investigators a lead or tip, it's clouding the law according to the state, and its validity and or their right to disclose anything to the defense related to the investigative genetic genealogy is being challenged and questioned. So there is the article that I wrote. It's quite extensive. It was a lot of research to put this together, but I'm glad it was completed, and we'll see if it goes anywhere. I don't know if somebody will pick it up or not, but it is out there. It is out there. And actually, I want to fix that typo too, but I think I've already submitted it with the typo. So either way, it is what it is. So that's what it is. I'm happy that they're removing that, challenging the motion to challenge the indictment with the state attorney. I really am glad that they have removed that. But here comes another aspect. Oops, did I forget to share because I closed that down? Okay, give me a second. There we go. Is this the right one? So I thought this was an interesting article. Obviously, the New York Post being a huge news organization that happens to be close to this particular case. Thank you, The Real Me Too. I appreciate it. Hold on, let me just see what people were saying. Let me just take a minute and just go through and see if I'm missing anything here. Good morning, Mama Llama. It's nice to see you. I haven't seen you in here in a little bit. Big hugs. Pat Gaines, nice to see you. Not only that, but she can get a case dismissed if his right to speedy trial is violated. It's a sneaky process, but has happened before. You're absolutely right. Like, a lot of people, don't realize that, we do realize it, right? We've always heard, they got off on a technicality, right? A technicality. And that would be what it is. So everybody has these systems. There shouldn't be any timing technicalities, in my opinion, this day and age, because we have, when I was in the law office, we had systems in place, like you plugged in a date you were filing, you plugged in, just some minimal criteria. I'm hearing feedback. But there's minimal criteria that you need to plug in, but it calculates all that for you, and it gives you a report. Like, I used to go in, I print out one report, it gave me all of my assignments for the day, and it literally scheduled everything from the preparation deadline to the review to the submission. It was really just like that. Now, again, I don't know how much that system cost. I don't know if it's in every single law office, but even here, like, we have Google Calendars, we have date and time, which help you calculate your time and stuff like that. So there's really no reason for anybody to not be filing stuff in proper time this day and age. Once upon a time, you could calculate wrong, you could be off a day, you could be off 2, it was up to calculation. Now it's all automatically done for you. You don't have to guess. You just don't have to guess. So in this particular article, it's not even up yet. Hold on here. Let me just see if there's more. Oops, no, cancel. See if there's any more question. I'm just waiting for the defense to say his car was planted. Well, it's going to be hard to do that because they did place Brian Kohberger in the car. Like I said, they had to. I think that they found that they must have had some type of evidence in their possession that Brian Kohberger was in, they would have disputed it until it was forced for them. And so that's what makes me think that they had no choice but to acknowledge that and move on, because they must have received a video that placed him in the car and had a good visual photo of him in that car. So I think that that's going to be hard to dispute, but who knows? Who knows? I don't want to spend too much time on Brian Kohberger today because we're going to be spending a lot of time. Well, yeah, this upcoming week, as we start gearing up, like 4 days is his hearing on this third motion to compel. And I just don't know how this is going to be. Like, if the judge agrees with the state attorney, and says, he doesn't have to produce it because they didn't create it. They have no idea how it was made, created. They just received a lead. But I think they're going to have the state, they're not going to have the state recreate. I don't think they can. I don't think they could do that. Recreate documents that are not in existence. Actually think that they have plenty of case law that completely supports just the opposite. If you have to create it, it's not in your possession, custody, and control at the current moment when it's being requested. So in a case like that, I would have to think that, the judge may order that they're required to turn over any documents associated with it that they do have in their possession, custody, and control, such as those emails, those internal emails. And then that other spot of, that other issue that we have to address are those covered by work product or attorney-client privilege or some other privilege. There's multiple privileges out there, maybe privileges that are not commonly used. We're seeing a lot of uncommon law being used in this particular case. There's standing in silent. It does happen. It happens all over the country, but it's something that doesn't, in the number of cases that are going through our courts, it's on the smaller end of how many people do it in the collective large number, right? But here's this. The Gilgo Beach suspect, Rex Heuermann, disturbing behavior before arrest. We heard in the statements as this was breaking open when the commissioner came up and said, we weren't, or maybe it was the state attorney. I can't remember. The one guy. I've got to think of his name. It's not on the tip of my tongue. But he comes out and he says basically, I put this task force together. The task force previously wasn't working together. That guy, right? And he says one of the things that, this was like one of the very first press conferences. He basically says that they weren't really ready to make the arrest, but they knew it was time. Something like that. I don't remember verbatim, but it was something to that that effect. And when we were going over it at the time, I even said he must have been hunting somebody else at the time. That they must have saw a behavioral pattern that was indicative of him about to make a move and take another girl. Now, if he's doing this in 2023, how many more people are there? Like our body count, let's think about it. So far, our body count has stopped in 2010, right? Everybody was killed that they know of by 2010. They were, screaming from the rooftops in 2011. And we had these people in New York City or in Suffolk County that weren't working with the FBI or the state people or anything. I got you. Okay. But it was just, they indicated, it almost implied that he was about to make another move on somebody else. He was going to make a move on somebody else. And that's why they decided to converge on him and arrest him. Well, this article is basically saying that yes, his behaviors were disturbing. And even though law enforcement wasn't ready, they wanted to be able to collect more evidence and do more surveillance and more research and all that other stuff, right? They wanted to do all that other stuff. And they had to stop and make an arrest. Why? If you guys remember, during the arrest, it seemed like he was on his phone. I wonder if he was making a call to one of his girls. And I wonder if he was planning on, like, his wife left town. He's making calls from a burner phone. You see him almost on a phone when they were making the arrest. Was he planning on killing another woman? And if he was planning on killing another woman in 2023, what has happened from 2011 to today? What has happened from 2011 until today? I mean, we all kind of know what the answer is. I personally do not believe this man ever stopped killing. I don't believe he took a decade off. I believe he got smarter I believe he got wiser. I believe that he has many, many, many bodies. And with him going without notice for so long, we don't know where these bodies are, because anytime he took a business trip, if they may not have 4 or 5 bodies stacked on top of each other, it just might be the one that does not link to him in any way. But the good news is that the state was successful in obtaining Rex Heuermann's biological sample. It was ordered by the court in Suffolk County. He now provided his DNA sample, which can now be put into CODIS, and I'm hoping that they start finding some hits. But here's the issue. Many of these cases have old DNA that they didn't even realize. At the time, in some of these cases, back in the 90s and early 2000, it was type. They could only do blood typing, and unless they had a massive amount of blood, they couldn't really do DNA. The amplification and the advancements in that amplification process have really, really helped this day and age. But there's still that backlog. There's still that huge, huge backlog in DNA testing, especially from older unsolved cases. Those may not have had any new testing, or they failed to put the DNA sample in the proper place for it to stay a certain temperature so it didn't degrade. And you may now have all these degraded samples that are not testing or would test inconclusive because of the degrading that happened to it. So we have a lot of these cases across the country, a lot of them back in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, of many, many people across this country that have open and active cold cases right now. And it was because of the lack of advancement in DNA. But we can only do so much. You've got 20 years of backlog in these unsolved cases across this country. When are they going to start doing DNA testing? When are they going to start allocating and financing all this backlog of DNA testing that's needed? I bet you we're going to find older cases that match Rex Heuermann. We might find newer cases that match Rex Heuermann. We need to get those people known. And I'm wondering and hoping and praying that Rex Heuermann is going to tell his story now that he's caught. And I'm praying that he gives these family justice, especially the family members that don't even know of his victims. There are so many victims, I believe, that are out there that we'll never know. We'll never, ever know how many women he truly killed. I don't know. Let me get down to the bottom. Sorry, guys. I kind of had you guys stuck up at the top. Midwest Meemaw. The average age of a serial killer is 28.5. We actually went over that. I saw that on Nancy Grace, and I thought that was pretty interesting. We just talked about that information. Today's Monday, so what was it, Thursday or Friday of last week we talked about that, because Nancy Grace came out, and I thought it was really interesting because we've been battling back and forth as to whether, the Idaho 4 was Brian Kohberger's first kill or not. But the first kill typically in these serial killers are 28.5. So we need to locate about that time frame of what year Rex would have been that 28.5 mark, and start monitoring any cold cases thereafter. Not that there may not be any cold cases before. He seemed very quiet, and there was some other cases that were brought up on the spreadsheet that I just was not familiar with. And when I look at it, even though they're put on the spreadsheet, I really don't, it doesn't seem like his MO, I guess, but who knows? Who knows? I'm going to keep the sheet the way it is. But yes, we did hear that 28.5 is the ripe age of their first kill, statistically. And statistics, that is what it is. That means there are some people that are serial, that kill younger than that, and there's people that became serial that kill older than that. So, but that's the average based on statistics. Lastly, I'm just going to go through here, and then we're going to get, actually, I've got 2 videos for you, and then we're going to get on with the topic, which is is Rex's family really broke? I believe they're having financial problems, but I don't understand how a man that purchased his own mother's home, that had a successful business in Manhattan, that has never really spent any money to, you know, make his home beautiful. You would also, another thing I found very odd with Rex is usually architects are very proud people and love to live in their greatest creation, so to speak. But Rex Heuermann chose to live in a dilapidated house that didn't match his community, because many people bought houses like that in Massapequa and destroyed, tore them down, or, built them up, used the bones and just expanded from the bones. But all the houses in and around there look bigger and better than they were back when Rex Heuermann was growing up in that community, and his house was just the one house that never went through that upgrade or that modification like his neighbors and other community members did. So this is pretty interesting, and I like to be fair. I know that there are victims too, but I also like truth and transparency when it comes to these cases, because it's so easy for people to attach, and they overcompensate, like it's a money grab. And I don't want to say that to this family, because and I don't want to be disrespectful, because we believe that this family is victims. I don't want to say as much of victims as is victims, because they were brutally murdered, but they are very much victims, and nobody believes that any of this, the wife, the kids, or anything, had any involvement in Rex Heuermann's second life. They knew nothing. This is much of a shock to them as it was the people around the world when he was named the suspect. They had no clue. We're learning that is it Asa or something like that? I don't know how to pronounce her name. It's ASA, but she apparently has cancer and is struggling to make bills, and the FBI tore up their house, and they're going to be filing a lawsuit against the county for compensation of the destruction of their home. I don't know how that's going to work out, but I do believe if law enforcement breaks in a house, like you're there for one person, there's 4 people that live in that home. I think that they should be responsible for making those other 3 people whole from there. I understand they have to do what they have to do, but again, they're destroying somebody's home that somebody has to pay to fix. And I'm sorry, but you're the one that needed the investigation. You're the one that needed to execute that search warrant. You're the one that needed to destroy it. You have to be responsible for fixing it back up. It should not be the responsibility of my insurance company to fix my house when it's destroyed by law enforcement. I'm sorry. I just don't believe that should be the case. I don't think I should have to pay a deductible on my home if my cousin, if they raided my house because of my cousin. Okay, this is my home, not my cousin's home, but this was Rex's home and her home. So I don't know how that's going to work, but it sounds like there will be some type of money coming back. I'm sure the state or the county is probably just going to settle. If it's under $100,000, they're most likely just going to settle and keep their attorneys out of it, because it's more expensive to have healthy litigation than it is just to settle. So they'll probably be pulling the money from somewhere and giving it to her just so she can get her house and stuff back up. But they also indicated that this house was cluttered, very much cluttered. And when I look at it, like they show this picture of their living room, but they failed to show their living room after the raid. They end up showing the storage units that have boxes in it. Like, I want to see the photo of that storage unit before they raided your house, because in all reality, it's a bunch of boxes in a storage unit. I would expect a bunch of boxes to be in a storage unit. Again, just wanting to be fair and as accurate as possible. I know a man that made $500K a year back in the 90s. His wife never knew. She could have had a maid, kids could have had braces. The money never came out until she died of cancer. Wow. So, and that's another thing, is they are married. Where is Rex's money? I mean, this man, obviously well known. It's expensive. And not only that, we heard he had a business in Manhattan. He had Manhattan rent for his office. I don't even want to know what an office space in Manhattan would cost, even on the worst freaking street in Manhattan. I don't want to know what it costs to rent a space in Manhattan. And he had an architectural firm there with multiple employees. So you're talking about a man that knows how to balance a checkbook, one that in all respects is home with his wife and children until they go out of town and he decides to go killing other, prostitutes and sex workers and stuff like that. But where's his money? Where's the life savings? This was a guy that was an architect in Manhattan. He owned his home free and clear. He bought properties around the country. Where is the money? Where is the money? And if the state or the feds have locked his money down, they need to open it up and give her a stipend, give her a monthly allowance out of that money. When I heard that, it's kind of funny you ask if they were a hoarder too, Tammy, is because whenever I said, we actually talked about that statement when the guy said the house was cluttered, so it was a major undertaking. I said, when you hear law enforcement say cluttered, like I even turned my computer and I'm like, this is what I consider cluttered. Like I consider, paperwork, it not being, perfect. This side of my desk with all these papers on it, it's cluttered. But when you hear it come from law enforcement, it's basically, when they say cluttered, it means a step down or two from hoarder. So I expected to see that. So when I saw these photos of these boxes in the storage unit and them going from the floor to the roof, it didn't surprise me much. It really didn't surprise me much. So let's go ahead and listen to this, and then we'll chat.
Case of Rex Heuermann, the man charged in connection with several murders near Gilgo Beach on Long Island. Megan Waterman, a woman from Scarborough, was one of the victims. Now Heuermann's wife and family have attorneys who say they are innocent bystanders in the case, and as Greg Circle finds, they're also planning to take legal action against investigators.
This is a photo from holiday time inside the Massapequa Park home of alleged Gilgo serial.
I wanted to pause it right there because I wanted to show you this. There it is. That's the house that they say of their living room. But again, these are not the photos. Like they're showing this house set up for Christmas and how nice and how homely it feels. It does feel really comfortable and cozy in here. But this is not the photo that they showed us of the damage. So I guess I would have liked to have seen the storage units before, the search, the raid happened. I'd like to have seen that, but let me just get on with this. I wanted you to just take a picture of this.
Massapequa Park home of alleged Gilgo serial killer Rex Heuermann. Proof, says the lawyer for Heuermann's wife, that the 59-year-old New York City architect may have lived a double life unknown to his family.
The only thing his family knows about these charges is what's been reported in the media. They have not discussed it with him. They haven't addressed it with him, and that's our instructions to them now.
So that's pretty interesting as well, that, since his arrest, the family really hasn't had a discussion with him. He's going to further allege that she's spoken to him on the phone, but she has not seen him at all.
Now, we haven't had that conversation. Frankly, it doesn't matter.
Lawyer Robert Macedonio and a lawyer for Heuermann's two children said today all are victims in this case, struggling to make sense of the allegations that Rex Heuermann killed 3 women and is a suspect in the murder of a 4th.
They're innocent bystanders in this. And that's, again, we cannot stress that enough because of what has happened here, and it's of unimaginable magnitude.
The lawyers today also released photos from the Heuermann house after the nearly 2-week police search there. and they announced plans
See, like
to
this
sue
right here,
investigators.
those are storage. Yeah, granted, the boxes were probably stacked up in a more organized fashion, but that's a lot of stuff. And that really is kind of the description that law enforcement did provide to us, that the house was cluttered. This is a storage unit. This is not the interior of the home. I'm not seeing huge holes in the wall or anything, but they do have carpet ripped out in some areas. And yeah, I would say that they probably need to, have some flooring and stuff done. Maybe somebody come in and help with the reorganization of all these boxes. And God knows what was broken, because when the FBI raids, they really don't care. But this is a storage unit. And if all those boxes are still in that storage unit, they most likely were brought down and gone through. So all those boxes were, stacked on top of each other as is.
For the damage
And so there's the carpet missing in one section of their home.
left behind.
The house is in shambles. It's ransacked. It was run over through roughshod. The conditions inside are deplorable.
The lawyer for Heuermann's wife says Asa Allerup has not visited him in jail, but has spoken by phone to the man she's now in the process of divorcing.
She is not a suspect. She's not been questioned. She hasn't been accused of anything, of being an accomplice or any part associated with whatever her husband's accused of.
And I think that is important, is that we do know she is, again, we do believe the family had no, at least I do. I don't know what my audience feels. For me, I don't believe this family had anything to do with this or knew anything about it. I mean, think about it. Like the children can't. They would be different. They would be, her son seems like he's got some kind of disability of some sort, but the daughter seems fairly normal. I don't foresee them, being a part of other women. I mean, think about Rex Heuermann's daughter right now. I mean, let's put, there's majority of women in my chat right now. Let's put ourselves in the fact of her finding out that her father hunted other females her age, and hurt them and killed them. How does that, I can't imagine mentally what that does to a girl like Carrie Ralston, right? She is always on here advocating for the families like her. She came under a lot of attack, people saying she just wants her 15 minutes of fame. What do you mean her 15 minutes of fame? She had her 15 minutes of fame when her father was arrested. If it was all about 15 minutes of fame for her, she would not be on social media, right? She would be writing a book. She's out here trying to get people to understand, because people, like even the families of these victims I'm hearing, are pointing the finger at his ailing wife. Like, she does not look like this mass murder serial killer accomplice lady. Like, she looks frail. She looks like she's going through a lot. The family looks like, and obviously you can't even imagine what they truly are going through at the moment. But to think that they're responsible, to me, is unfair to them. It is totally, totally unfair for the public to point the finger at this family when this family just had a man that they loved and they knew as their husband and their father and a provider and a good steward in their mind, right? They know no different, that this is a good man that has a great job, he's been a great provider for their family. For all intents and purposes, appears that he loves his family. So they're waking up to their loved one. Can you imagine? Just put yourself in it. Let's paint the picture. Let's paint a Sunday afternoon. We had I don't remember what day he was arrested on. We're going to say for the purposes of this example, he was arrested on Monday. Okay, for an example, we're going to say he was arrested on Monday. Now, that's not, this is just an example. This is nothing factual. But let's put ourselves in the fact that, let's say, Sunday day, we were hanging out, had a great family day. went to a family movie, had a family dinner, or sat around the house and watched family football. We were with our family, enjoying our time, getting ready to go out of the house. We were leaving to go on vacation with mom. Dad has to work. He's not going to be able to attend. We get packed up. We hug, kiss. See you later, Dad. Talk to you later, honey. Right? See you soon. And we go on vacation. We're enjoying ourselves with our mom and our friends. And we get a call. Ring, ring, ring. We want to let you know that your husband, Rex Heuermann, has been arrested and charged with 3 counts of murder. Can we search your house? Do we have permission to search your house? What do you mean? What do you mean? Where are you, ma'am? I'm in, where were they? New Jersey or something? So you got to think that they went from having a normal family to them to learning that their loved one murdered people, and not just murdered a person that, a fight got out of hand and he killed, his ex-girlfriend 40 years ago and he's just now been arrested. It's not like that. You're learning that he hunted, he stalked, and he preyed on women. And then he tortured them, arred them, and killed them. That is a hard pill to swallow if you are a daughter of one of these monsters. And I applaud Carrie for, being the voice for these families, because for the rest of us, we don't know. When we're left to our own devices, if we think it's true. So if we think they were a part of this, it doesn't matter whether the reality of it is that they were a part of it. It's the fact that somebody thinks it and therefore it's true, with absolutely zero scintilla evidence to support that speculative thought. But because this person has thought it, it must be true. Now, we're not saying that Rex didn't have red flags, but we're saying that Rex most likely had red flags that the family just blew off because they weren't glaring, screaming, alarming red flags. They might be him losing his temper very quickly. He goes from 0 to 60 like that. It might be something like that. We in our life, I can tell you that through my 43 years, I've met multiple people like that had a hair fuse, anger trigger, and they would go from just being like me right now to just enraged, absolutely, utterly enraged. And it's scary. But guess what? They've never injured anybody, and they've never hurt anybody. This guy did. Let's get on to the next one.
The family of accused serial killer Rex Heuermann looking to seek the right for restitutions in the wake of all the damage caused by the home by investigators looking for clues. For 12 days, the home in Massapequa Park and surrounding grounds were thoroughly searched, and today lawyers showed pictures of what was left. Eyewitness News reporter Tom Negovan in Central Islip with more. Tom.
That's right, David. They are setting the stage to sue investigators over the way this investigation was carried out, revealing new details today about the dire situation they say the family has been left in. Their lawyers claiming that in many ways they have been made victims in this. Asa Ellerup, wife of accused serial killer Rex Heuermann, on her front porch today in Massapequa Park, referring questions to her lawyers, telling Eyewitness News, "I can't even conceive of what I might say to you about all this."
Emotionally, she's recovering each day.
The Heuermann family spending so much time on the porch, their lawyers say, because the home's interior was rendered all but uninhabitable by police, torn apart during the Gilgo Beach investigation, releasing new photos to back that claim.
They can't be inside. The house is in shambles. It's ransacked. It was run over through roughshod.
Also revealed to...
My question is I guess I don't understand this, about them not being able to live in their home. We've been watching them live in their home for weeks. And if their house is in shambles, I'm not saying it's not. I mean, until you've gone through a raid, an FBI raid, it's not pretty. I've seen a few of them. I've watched them literally tear sides of houses, wood frame houses off. Like they go to take the window out, and the whole side of the house comes off with it. So I've seen a lot of damage caused by these investigations, and I've always been very curious as to how these damages are taken care of. Some of them are put through people's insurance, and the insurance claims take care of it. Some have to sue the county or state and get an attorney like they're doing, notify the state or the county that they're about to be sued by you, that this is what they would like. I believe that she will be financially compensated, because again, it's going to cost the state or the county more money to fight it than it is to throw money at it. The reason why I know this is because I'm heavily involved in my county, and we have a lot of lawsuits and property damage that the county commissioners have to approve, and settlements, court settlements that the county commission has to approve. So I've been a part of the approval process on the county end of these lawsuits, and a lot of our like I used to go in there and be like, why are we paying $50,000 to Jane Doe? What is going on here? Why are we fighting this? And they're like Andrew, it's going to cost us $100,000 to challenge this. $50,000 is a deal, but why are we giving $50,000? Were we right or were we wrong? And it's like that matters to me. Like, I'm not, just because I don't want to make it a point that people can just sue our county and walk away with $50,000 because our county doesn't want to fight this stuff, right? But that really is the way that the county works, because the county has more important things to deal with. I can hear my air conditioning. I don't know if you guys can hear. There's more important things to deal with in our county than fighting, say, and here's some of the examples of stuff we have to pay for. So the law enforcement is chasing a suspect, okay? Law enforcement, well, I guess the raid would probably be the best thing, but we've even had people that slip and fall in our sheriff's department, and we have to pay them money. It's easier for us just to pay that money out than it is to fight them in court. So I have to think that this is going to be, unless they're going for an exorbitant amount of money, I just feel like the county is going to say, we need to do this. It's going to cost us more money to fight this in court. Let's throw $50,000 at them. $50,000 can get them an organizer to come in there, clean it up, and get them new carpet in there, and it can help pay for some of their expenses while they're there. So it really depends on what they're truly going for, what they are wanting, what will make this family whole. Again, this is their family home. Rex is no longer there with them. So Asa, I heard it 3 or 4 different times in this article, and still, for the life of me, I still can't say her name right.
Today, that Alarup, in the midst of divorcing her husband, is battling cancer. She needs up to 18 months of treatment. Her health insurance within 2 months of running out.
For the past several years, she's been suffering from cancer. She has breast cancer. She also has skin cancer.
A GoFundMe page has been set up for her as she works to rebuild her life, asking for sympathy and financial help. She'll get neither from attorney John Ray, who represents the families of some of the Gilgo Beach victims, cases still unsolved, who says Heuermann's wife and children should be treated not as victims, but as suspects.
Respectfully, John, police have done a thorough investigation.
No, they haven't. Not yet. The police are engaging in an investigation. How thorough remains to be seen.
Now, their lawyers say they haven't talked to Rex Heuermann about the case. They haven't visited him in jail. And just to be clear about this,
I'm not going to say how any victim or any victim's families should act in a time of crisis or a time of this, but I can tell you that from the research I've done, from what I've watched from other family members of serial killers, the family doesn't know. They are not aware. Now, does that mean just because all these other families didn't know and were not aware that somehow this family knows and is aware? I honestly, to be honest with you, I don't know. it doesn't appear to me. I see a woman that appears to be broken. I see family that, is just trying to reel and do the best that they can. Again, I don't know what the victim's attorney has, but to blame people that lived in a home with a monster, if that's the best use of your time, sir, I understand you have your victims and they do take top priority, but to subject another woman and another family through this, I don't feel is right. And I think those are bold statements and bold words from an attorney. And I would caution him. I mean, he's got to be careful with how he's presenting himself to the public as well. And I think in a case like this, I think he would be better off by not blaming innocent people. Just my opinion, because I respect lawyers for victims, but just in his behavior there, it kind of made me frown a little bit personally with his behavior and accusations. And that's not really a good place for an attorney that's representing the victims to be. So hopefully, he kind of, looks into this and gets more evidence. And, for him to say law enforcement didn't do their research, are you kidding me? They were in his house for a week. They've obviously went through every single box of paper in his home. You could see every single one of those boxes had been touched by somebody. Now, granted, that's just the collection gathering. That all has to now be taken back and put in some type of order so it all makes sense. So, their investigation is far from over. But it makes my heart sad that an attorney would prefer to attack the family instead of the person responsible. So, you just saw us, yeah. Yeah, oops, I don't want to pull this too far. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can get it without, I'll probably screw it up, watch. The bedazzled boot. The bedazzled boot. I figured, because there was only 2 pairs left. There were literally only 2 pairs left. It's a balancing act over here to get this to sit right. It took me forever. I knew I was, there we go. How to get it up. But yes, those are the ass-kicking boots. When you see me in those, you know it just got real. I'm just joking. My butt is not using those shoes to go walk out and searching for people. I got ugly work boots for that. These things are the ugliest. I'm surprised they had them in women's, but I got the black boot with the pink, the fuchsia band, and to make it a little girly. Even when I was working in electrical work, right? Because my family's from electric, and I'm from family electricians, among other talents in my family. But anyways, even my work pouch, I couldn't go with that ugly tan brown that you see every single, electrician and carpenter carrying around. So I had to go with white, okay? Because it was girly, right? I didn't want that ugly brown tool pouch. So I got a white one. Because that's different, right? Well, I realize why white doesn't sell. It gets dirty pretty easy and looks awful after a year of work. So you're constantly having to replace that one. Anyways, long story short. So Rex Heuermann and his family going through all of this, I don't know how you guys feel about the family. But before I open up the phone lines, which we'll open up the phone lines just for a few minutes, and then we're going to call. I got to get the oil changed in the car and go do some other things. But here is an article, again, that it just really resonates with me, and it's because it is well known that there's most likely more victims and more victims in that Gilgo Beach area. I truly believe, because this is the one thing that gets me when it comes to Rex Heuermann, and it's on his timeline, and it's right here. It is where it says in 1981, Rex worked. Oh, you guys can't see it. Hold on, let me pull it up. Right here. Rex worked as a seasonal employee at Jones Beach State Park and is frequently seen at Tobay Beach. So this is pretty interesting because he has been in and around this Jones Beach State Park, which is where Gilgo just happens to reside. So I believe even if there's not more bodies specifically on Gilgo Beach, I do believe there's more bodies in that Jones Beach State Park somewhere. He worked there. He frequented the area. He knows this area like the back of his hand. He's lived in this area since he was a kid. He purchased his childhood home from his own mother. He has lived there. He knows all the nooks and crannies in that area. I have been away from my area that I grew up when I was a kid, which was over in the Palmasola Parkway area. And that's where I was raised, in Palmasola. It was when I was growing up, that was the elite place to live in Manatee County. And I knew all the nooks and crannies out there. That place has built up like you would not believe. And guess what? I still know some nooks and crannies still out there. And I haven't even been in the area that I grew up in at least 10 years, over a decade. I haven't drove by my childhood home. But I know where those nooks and crannies are because I lived there. I played there. Our friends and us, when we were kicked out of the house back when I was growing up, you didn't stay in your house playing on video games or watching TV. Our family, our parents believed that rotted your brain. So they forced us to go out and be productive. Go make a TP tent, right? Go make a tent. Go out and play in the water. Go swimming. Get out of my house, right? Get out of my house. I'll see you. Be home before dark, right? That's how we grew up. But we know all the nooks and crannies of our area where we grew up. Even after all the building and even after me not being there for 10 years. I bet you I can find a few. So when I hear that Rex has been an employee, he was out there, he was driving there, he was cleaning that up, he knows all the places, and if he didn't, maybe some of the people in his office that he worked with knew where all those little nooks and crannies were. Tina Foglia, I don't know much about her, but it just doesn't seem like it would bode right with his timeline and time frame. But he began seasonal work out there. So we have him going there as a seasonal employee back in 1981. And, let's see if we can get there. And he worked so 1981 was him working there. Tina Foglia's body was found. Let me get this down just a little bit. It's too big now. I can't seem to get it to work well. And then he goes on to get, and this is another thing that I had problems with in his life. Do you know that he got married to his first wife, and within like 6 months, he was already seeing Asa, and ended up divorcing his first wife and marrying her within a year and a half of his first marriage? That was really odd to me. Like, why did you date this woman and marry her and then start seeing another woman 6 months later? I kept wondering, was there something about Asa that, how did Rex meet her? Was she supposed to be a victim? It does make you wonder. It really does. He said he killed 12 and had to stop because he had car trouble. Wow. I don't know which conversation is that about, Rex or what. No, he was not caught at the time. He usually committed crimes when his family was away. Yes, that is true. Allie is correct about that. That was the telltale sign. And again, his family was out of town when he was arrested this time as well. They were not in town, and they said they needed to move on him. and they didn't really state why. And it was just a piece in me that said they must have found something that he was going to attack another one again. And now that stuff is unraveling a little bit, for our purposes, we're seeing that that ended up being the case. He was making moves to find another victim and kill another victim in 2023. I'm sorry. I believe there's more bodies. I believe there's a decade of bodies in Rex Heuermann's wake. I believe that the ones that were found on Gilgo were just the tip of the iceberg. We need to follow his credit card receipts. We need to follow his plane receipts. I guarantee everywhere this man went by himself, there is a body that wound up in and around where he was. That's how I feel about Rex. That's how I truly feel. You're not going to find those. I think that was what he changed. He didn't start dumping the bodies in the same area like he did because he almost got caught. Now he's dumping the bodies in different areas. He's making sure that they're much further apart. He's changing his MO. He most likely isn't staging the bodies like he once did. He's definitely not using that sack material. Why can't I think of it? The burlap. I doubt he's using that anymore in any of the cases after 2010. So I think he changed up his MO. I still think he's torturing them. I still think he's strangling them and doing other things to them. But I believe he got smarter, and he's not dumping them in the same areas. He's spreading them out so they don't look like they're his. And that is where I truly believe we are going to find the bodies. So wherever he went, it's not going to be, if he's somewhere for 2 nights, you're not going to have 5 people popping up. You're going to have one. So that's what we're looking for. We're no longer looking for this conglomerate of 2 or more bodies staged in one specific grassy area near the water. Now we're going to find one person stuffed in a dumpster that was strangled. We're going to find another person that was thrown in the bushes or the weeds. I mean, I think that that's where he's changing. I don't think he ever stopped killing. I just think he's changed it up. So as always, we're going to try to slow it down just a little bit and give our audience some opportunity to let me know how they are feeling about this case, the Brian Kohberger case, or if you just have a new case that maybe you want to talk about or bring awareness to. Now would be a great time to do just that. I'm opening up the phones now. If anybody in the audience would like to call in, say good morning, or talk about a case, please consider doing so. The phones are now officially open. For those that are, visually impaired, the number is 724-249-6140. Again, 724-249-6140. Well, good morning, Turkey Man. Been a minute.
Oh, good morning. How you doing?
I am doing really, really good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. We've had a rough week there. We'll talk about that offline, when we talk. But yeah, it's been a pretty difficult week. But what I was wanting to get through to talk to you this morning before you got through your program, I've been wanting to ask this question. What's happened to the babysitter and the little boy in Georgia?
Oh. So the babysitter, it's kind of funny because I actually have, just in passing, she's been keeping up with me more so than I've been keeping up with her. And I think you're talking about Miss Diana, remember?
Yes.
She was the babysitter to Quentin Simon.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, she's
Yes.
been doing great. She says, things are kind of getting back to, it's not so crazy as it once was, because there was a lot of hostility between her and Billy Joe. So I think Billy Joe stays on her side of the street and Diana stays on her side of the street. But it seems like everybody is starting to at least be able to get things somewhat back to normal.
Well, I was thinking that I'm getting a little echo. I'm sorry in my phone, but anyhow, I was thinking there's so many people that that means a lot to you that you talk to, that you've got information from that's kind of not the family per se, but like the babysitter.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about those people that stand out. I was thinking the Kylie Rodney case. I wonder about the father. I wonder about, because I felt like he was, he was hurting more than anybody, and you always wonder about how he's doing, what's going on in that direction. There's people that's left in the ashes, so to speak, of these cases that you cover,
Mm-hmm.
that you spent the time with the family member at the Idaho 4, that you interviewed with them, and you went in and interviewed. I know that you have a extra kind of a feeling or emotional feeling with those individuals, and I know each one of these cases has got that scenario,
Mm-hmm.
because you got boots on the ground and you've got skin in the game, so to speak, and so you have spent some time. If you understand where I'm trying to go here, it's those people that's personally, emotionally you have connected, that that you maybe share.
Yeah.
Because that's a part that a lot of people that doesn't have skin in the game don't understand. If you've not spent time, like you said, I ain't Googling.
Right. Yeah. And I do that for a variety of reasons.
So you went these places, and there's people that you have met that has shared things with you, that has helped you and direct you. That would be a great a segment. I would love for you to share that with us, of people that really opened it up for you, and that's very interesting to me, because that's a human part of this that's left out.
Yeah.
I do wonder about the little boy that's in the landfill that we're speaking of, about the babysitter. Did they ever put him to rest? Did they ever?
Unfortunately, my understanding, he's still at the FBI. I haven't looked into it much any more than that, but the last time I checked, which was about, 60 some days ago, he was still at the FBI. So that's my understanding.
He's a something they use as far as their case.
Yeah.
Evidence.
Yeah.
And that's statistic and evidence, and he's more than that. He should have been put to rest.
Yeah. He should.
Those things are sad.
But you know what? I was still having a problem because, people were arguing that he should go to Billy Joe, and my thing is after Bubba Moss, his biological father, although his biological father really didn't have a lot to do with him when he was alive, I felt that the biological father should be the one making the decisions on his son's burial and what happens, and I think Billy Joe was trying to even take that from him.
Well, think about it, Billy Joe and that crew stole what the people were bringing as a token of remembrance to him, and they moved it plumb out where people couldn't come without being trespassing. They didn't do that. I mean, they go and carry it up next to the house, and then they want to cause a problem. Somebody comes and lays a bear or balloon or a flower or a note, and then they moved it over to the babysitter's house, or I think at one time. That upsets me. That really upsets me, that people will just be so evil when dealing with evil.
Yeah, I mean, outside of them putting up the stand, like the stuff for like we donated. It was us and the advocation we did that donated all those gifts, and they literally picked them up and put them behind the gate. And so we had to start a new memorial for Quentin over at the babysitter's house. And it's a lesson learned. If I'm ever dealing with another family that is this despicable, I will make sure that we have contingencies in mind when we're setting up memorials and things like that, because that's really the community. This family didn't do anything for this young man, this young boy, this toddler named Quentin Simon, and they have done nothing but destroy his name ever since. And I feel so bad for this boy. He was just born in the wrong family.
Well, anytime somebody wants to get on to you about your reporting, they need to look and see, do they have this emotional and this skin in the game, this part of the story that they, anybody can get on Google and pull up a story and play it, but it takes a special individual to have skin in the game, I call it, because getting up, moving, and going and doing, and I just think you don't get the I don't know the word recognized.
Well, you know what? It's not about recognition. It's about doing the right thing as well. So, I just truly believe, and I have always said this, I feel like if you really come authentically, you come from the heart, you do these things from the heart, the audience and the viewers will come. Like, I don't have to do things for clicks and views. I believe if I provide good reporting, that people will gravitate for the good reporting. I think a lot of people, even though they do like drama, I think they're kind of sick of the drama, and they really want to get back to the cases, and that's what we're providing them.
Well, I'm going to back up. I'll tell you that been praying for you, and just keep us in your prayers, and I'm going to let somebody else have an opportunity to talk to you before you close it down. So I'll talk to you later.
All right, Turkey Man, God bless.
Bye-bye.
Well, we got an opportunity to speak with our beloved Turkey Man. I'm literally going to have the phones open for like maybe 2 more minutes if somebody wants to call in. Otherwise, I'm going to be closing everything down. We've been here for about 2 hours. It's Manic Monday. I've got lots of stuff that I've got to get done, finalized today. I got to get oil changes. I got a life today. I got to do life. And so we're going to get out there and rock it out ourselves. All the to-do stuff, the procrastination, I've been putting off I usually try to change the oil about, I don't know, anywhere between $1,000 to $500 500 miles of it hitting. It's, time to change. And so I have been pushing it off, and finally, I'm going to get it done today. This is Betty. Hello?
Hello?
Hey, this is Betty.
Betty Bullhorn.
Hi.
Hi, Betty. Yeah, I do feel sorry for...
Oh, I accidentally... Who was that? Let me call you back. I'm so sorry. I accidentally hung up on you. Where is your phone number? Your phone number's not registering on the account. There it is. Let me try to call you back. I'm so sorry. I was trigger fingers.
Hello?
Oh, I am so
Thank
sorry.
You.
I hit the wrong button and I ended up hanging up on you because my cursor's right there.
That's okay.
Sharks.
It's all right.
I apologize. Who am I speaking and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Massapequa, Long Island.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I just moved here at the end of January to be closer to my children because my husband had cancer and it destroyed his cardiac artery and it sent blood clots to his brain, and he acts like an Alzheimer's patient. However, as a taxpayer, I don't feel that I should be paying for a cleanup.
I agree with that. Me as a taxpayer, I grind my teeth when that happens, but I just know how the counties work. I've fought them so many times over these things, and it's just like they don't want to go to court.
Exactly. And it's a waste of money to go to court.
Right.
But that's basically all I wanted to say is that, I do feel sorry for them.
I honestly 100% agree with you. I don't think it should be saddled with the county, because you guys end up having to pay for that through your taxes. I mean, some way or somehow they're getting that money back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, my husband had cancer and nobody's paying our bills.
Right, exactly. Well, God bless
And
you.
now
I
the
do
poor guy.
appreciate that. And how's your husband doing with the cancer?
The cancer has been gone now for 13 years, which is great. But like I said, it's just blood clots, and he acts like an Alzheimer's patient now. And I did have nurses, but I had to drop him because it's sucking up my money. I need to save it when he goes into a facility, because Nassau County's facility is disgusting, and I would never put him there. Never. Not
I
in
would
a
say
million
bring him
years.
down to Florida, but I'm hearing our Florida facilities aren't much better, to be honest with you.
Well, you're probably right. We have another home in the Poconos, and I'm thinking, you know what? It's on a lake. I can so see him sitting on the porch. Well, not sleeping there, but have a hospital bed there, and just looking at the lake and what's going on, and then I could have all the nurses I want when I sell this place. That's just, I'm thinking my wheels are going, Betty, like yours do, 24/7.
Yeah. And you know what? I also say, this might just be a little food for thought when that time comes. I heard North Carolina facilities are amazing and very affordable.
Yes.
So, that might be.
It's funny you say that, because a girlfriend of mine, her husband that she married, they actually opened up 2 facilities for assistant living, for people like my husband. And we were joking about me going down there, but it's just a little too far. Pennsylvania's a little bit better. The kids can get to me a lot easier.
So you're the first person that I had so close to Massapequa, like you're there. What's the environment like there? Like, how's the community dealing with all of this?
Well, I don't really get out to talk to them because I got to keep my eye on Joe. But I can't hear you, Betty.
Oh, I'm still here.
Okay, now I can hear you. From what I can tell, it's peaceful. I don't see anybody harassing them. I don't, you got the curious drive-bys, but other than that, not many people are talking, like when I go to the store, But again, I'm in and out real quick because, I have my husband.
Gotcha. Well, I do appreciate hearing from you. Thank you so much, and thank you for watching the Bullhorn Betty channel from New York. Awesome. I love it.
Day one. Long Island, baby. All right. Thanks, Betty.
All right. You take care, and God bless. Bye-bye.
You too.
Wow, how ironic was that to have somebody literally, in the Massapequa area. It's, to me, interesting, there's just, I think what made me feel good is, at least, you're going to always have the looky-loos, and you're not going to be able to stop it. It's a public road, right? So you're going to have those. I'm going to be a looky-loo eventually when I get to New York and cover this case, right? I'll be a looky-loo myself. But it's, the family was talking about being harassed. So it's granted, that's probably not taking away of potential online harassment and stuff like that, but at least we know they're not being completely under surveillance at their home, and I know that in these situations, because we've been on, in front of homes, high profile cases, and the media frenzy that accompanies it, it's pretty, it can be pretty overwhelming. I remember how overwhelming it was in the Gabby Petito case. That was really my first experience of a major news frenzy. People, sending people out of their homes, renting their entire houses for like $2,500 a week for lawn, to rent a lawn. It was just, this was ridiculously crazy. Absolutely ridiculously crazy. So I know how these types of things get. And so I'm glad to hear that, there's not a whole lot of harassment, public harassment. Family, I don't think that's fair to them. They're going through, I can't even imagine going through, I always try to put myself and say, if this was my father or my mother or, my family member that did this, how I would just have to be, I'd have to expect to be completely and utterly devastated. Honestly, that truly is how I think I would feel, was devastated. And not only that, this young girl that has had her, young woman, she's a young woman, has had her father in her life her entire upbringing, has now had her father that she loved ripped away from her. Now, granted, the victims, he deserves to be ripped away from them. He deserves to be in jail. You're right, he does. But what about his daughter that was unsuspected of his conduct, that didn't know him as Monster, that knew him as Dad? That doesn't fix her pain. It doesn't fix her pain knowing that he has to go to jail because it's the right thing to do. It doesn't fix her pain knowing that her father tortured women. It doesn't fix her pain. Now, granted, it's not fixing the families of the victims' pain either, but this family's not trying to cause additional pain to the victims' families. The victims' families, through their attorney, however, on the other hand, appears to be personally attacking Rex Heuermann's wife and children. And that I can tell you, I frown upon. I'm an advocate for victims. I feel so bad for the victims, and you guys know I don't judge where these ladies came from. If I was searching for them or they were lost today, I'd be fighting for them as hard as I would any other person, because their life mattered, and I don't care how they lived their life when they were on this earth. I do care that they are dead and never able to see their family again. But I can't imagine the family of these monsters that were literally blindsided by all this. There's got to be some kind, we can have sympathy and empathy for the victims, but there's got to be a little room for some sympathy and empathy for the wife and children of Rex Heuermann too. We are absolutely disgusted with what Rex did. There is no doubt about that. Like, you guys know me. Throw a gas mask on him. Let's call it a day, right? If he's guilty, that's an eye for an eye. Everybody knows where I stand on this topic. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You guys don't have to worry. I mean, if it bothers you that I am pro DP, you're going to have to be bothered by it or just not support me. But that is where I'm at. This man deserves not life imprisonment. This man deserves to be burnt at the stake, in my opinion, if he is truly guilty of these crimes. I personally believe he is. But how does that have anything to do with his wife and children? If statistics show us that these serial killers lead a double life, if statistics shows us that these families are unknowing of what their loved one was doing, if statistics are showing us all this information, because let's face it, it is 2023. This is not our first rodeo with serial killers. We have good information. We are starting to change our theories on who to start looking for. When we start hearing about serial killers, we're now going to be looking for the unblemished white guy, right? With a great job. That's pretty much who the target audience is for that. Can hold down a job, can have a family, most likely has no criminal history. We're changing the way we hunt for people when it comes to these types of crimes. But also, if I can speak, also, the statistics also tell us that the families are none the wiser. So if you're a victim's family, I know you're angry. I know you're upset. I can't even begin to imagine or put myself in the pain that you're feeling. But inflicting that pain on other innocent people is not going to make your pain go away, and it's not going to make you feel better. It just won't. It won't. I promise you it won't. And I hope that attorney that's representing those victims stops doing that, because that's not fair. I don't care how mad you are, angry you are. If you're going to be mad and angry, direct it at the right person. Many of you know if I'm upset about something, I definitely, without a doubt, I direct it at the right person. When I had a problem with Chief Hadley, I didn't blame his officers. I didn't treat his officers like crap because I had a problem with Chief Hadley. I spoke my mind to Chief Hadley and thanked the officers that came around. for their service. I blame the person responsible. And everybody else should too. But again, we don't control everybody else. Free will sucks. People have entirely too much of it. In between, nice to see you, love. He's no longer chief. Let me see, could I have guessed that? Isn't it funny? Where's all the hate groups now damning me to hell for challenging this horrible chief? And now, not even a year later, he's booted. Okay. Great job. Great job. But that's okay. You know, that's what I love about all of this and about all the people that have so many things to say about me on here, which I've never had a problem with people talking about me. I'm a controversial person. I expect people to talk about me. You know, that's kind of how we get the news out. That's kind of how we bring attention to some cases. In some cases, right? It's the destroying. It's the wanting to destroy. That there's no place for that. No place for that. I don't mind people talking about me. I don't mind people saying I'm wrong about this person or that person. But as time goes on, this is where it gets great. As time goes on, you guys see that they were wrong. The ones that were screaming the loudest, right? The ones that were screaming the loudest telling you that you were wrong for being on the right side of the argument. And so many people moved their position from the right side of the argument to the bad side of the argument because they were pressured by some of these hate channels, literally screamed at by 4 or 5 people until they complied. Got it on video, right? Until they complied. And then full circle, I was damned to hell over this particular case, full circle, and I said from the very beginning he was a horrible chief. Do you think if he was a great chief of police, don't you think he would still be in office as that great police chief? He was a horrible police chief. The community agreed, and he's been booted. And I have to think that my mouth helped in that respect. That I was able to show the community horrible policing. Horrible. Corrupt. You would rather arrest somebody for walking down the road than for somebody killing their own child. To me, you should have taken your gun off and your badge off the day I showed up in town. Or arrest her. But now, you know what? It's not me out there, right? That's the community making those decisions. What do you got to say about that now? Chief Hadley was horrible. Chief Hadley is no longer Chief Hadley. Bullhorn Betty was right again. And there you have it, folks. So when you're tired of being lied to from all these other channels, from people that barely have a high school education and don't even know the law, you know, maybe you need to come over to a channel that tries to provide you the best information. And you know what? When she has questions, she actually gets out of this chair right here, gets in her car, and actually goes and finds those answers. Instead of wondering about it or spreading misinformation to their audience, they go out there and actually do something about it. Now, there's only a few of us out there, that take the responsibility of these cases very, very seriously and do not like sitting on this side of the camera in this office 24/7, but would rather be out there advocating for the victims, searching for the victims, hanging flyers for the victims, putting banners up for the victims, and doing whatever we can to advocate for that victim's name. That is what we do, and if that's something that you support, you will want to support the Bullhorn Betty channel. God bless each and every one of you. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe and kind to one another. Good day.